Welcome back to Real Tech Talk, people. I don't even know what episode it is, but we are on fire. People are watching, people are tuning in, and we got a sponsor, Annex Ventures. So keep staying tuned. We're getting bigger and bigger, and I am just so excited to talk about our next guest. The game is changing. Technology is finally infiltrating even into the multifamily space. And what this guy has created is making multifamily interactive and responsive and much more like amenities for like a hotel. So if the user experience actually changes, where you're not just walking in, paying for your first month, last month, signing a lease, never talking to the landlord again, and then asking for a renewal, he's changing the game where you're actually going to create interfacing with them throughout the process. I think that's absolutely fascinating. I can't wait to introduce you to my man, Pini Shemesh, MyTower app. Come on through, sit down, take a load off. Let's go.
That's why we're here, bro. This is Real Tech Talk. Boom shakalaka. So who the hell are you, bro? You know, what are you into? What do you do? Dude, you can keep it real here. Tell me about these real estate players.
Eric Brody is the managing principal of CEMVC LLC. All opinions expressed by Eric and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of CEMVC LLC. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. Clients of CEMVC LLC may maintain positions in the securities discussed in this podcast.
Welcome back to the next episode of Real Tech Talk, people. You know who it is. It's your host, E. Brody, E. Breeze on the 1 and 2. Today, actually, we have an incredible guest. And I got to tell you, this is one of the most fascinating stories, I think, in technology, which is we saw that WeWork sort of undermined what the office space was by instead of taking it as a square foot, breaking it up into heads. We're now seeing a change to the residential space. And my guest today is going to explain what he's seeing and how residential is becoming a lot more hospitality, and it's no longer a stagnant asset. So today I'm welcoming my guest, Pini Shemesh, MyTower app. How are you, player? Thanks for coming to visit, man.
Good. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, where did you come in from?
Tel Aviv by a plane.
Tel Aviv. We got another Middle Eastern Israeli on the show. Let me ask you, before we get started, why is so much technology coming out of Israel right now? What is it?
So, I believe it's related to the army.
Yeah?
Yeah, you see a lot of people like, for now, the tech industry is like trying to make money.
Mm-hmm.
But for many years, the Israeli army had to do and use technology in order to exist.
Or to have an advantage, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a buzzword today, it's an AI. But the 8200 did AI in the 90s.
And what's that? Shimuni Eitai. What is that? Is that a unit?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, so listen. What we always like to know is, what is the origin story? First off, how did you get into technology? And then what type of technology? What problem did you see? So first is just, why technology? I mean, you could have done anything in this universe. How'd you get into tech?
So technology is it's like it's a solution for everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's help you to create solution for any problem you see in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, since I was kid, like I'm a positive person, but I always see a lot of problems in some places. Like when I get into a building, or since I was kids to an auto, I saw the problem like a rent gun. And I believe the technology really help you to solve all the problems that you have.
So when you were younger, how did you use technology?
The first computers.
What'd you have? Fucking Commodore 64?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I got lucky. So how did you, what was it? Were you fascinated by it? Or was it just like, whatever? Like, did you really use it?
It started for fun, you know, gaming and this area. And after it, like I always like to open everything, to open like the first phone, to open everything that was with technology. I try to open it.
So you would break them down?
Yeah.
What would your parents say then? They get pissed at you. You're messing up all their shit, no?
They didn't understand what I'm doing. Yeah.
All right. So then how did it keep going? Did you go into high school into technology or college? No, what was it?
No, actually, I studied in the high school architecture. Architecture, yeah. And I left that, but in the army, I saw how we doing amazing stuff with technology. I always felt something
driving you to it.
Yeah, yeah, and also to real estate.
So was that your first experience though with technology? Is really, I mean, by the way, from the Commodore, no, but then you got dove in deep was when you went to the military.
Yeah, yeah. I saw what we're doing there, and it was amazing.
Super advanced.
Super advanced.
Okay, so then how real estate? So now I understand the tech space, you know, military-based background, but how'd you get into real estate then? And then how did you even identify there'd be a problem in real estate?
So for me, real estate was always an hobby. It's like I love architecture and I love archaeology.
Yep.
Archaeology.
Yeah, of course.
And it was for fun. I like it. I like to see building. I like to see places. And I saw lots of problem over there.
Where did you grow up in Israel, by the way? Was it a major city or was it like suburban lifestyle?
It started in Jerusalem, you know, it's...
Pretty urban.
Yeah. Pretty urban. Not so much, not like in Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
But after I moved to Tel Aviv, it was like more urban.
All major buildings, right?
Buildings. Developer building unique properties.
Yep.
And I saw that, you know, it always like home. When building places like to be home, they always try to bring something different.
Of course.
And it's still different than hotels. And today, in the last decade, you see that people sometimes even prefer to stay home because they're home nicest. But it wasn't always like that.
So what were some of the unique things that you were seeing in some of these buildings? When you're saying the builder's trying to make it unique, right? He's trying to make it so that people are interested in actually living there versus another spot. What did you identify?
Yeah, so when you want to try building something different, you try to create some experience.
Right.
You're trying to build facilities, you're building lobbies.
By the way, I have this great story I was telling people the other day. I developed this building in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, right? And I'm with one of my partners in it, and we were the builders of that building. And we had forgotten the silicone on the bottom of the glass. And he was like, how do you forget the silicone? I'm like, of the 10 million variables of building a building, I forgot the silicone. I can fix it, right? Right then, the doors open, right? One of our tenants comes inside, right? And he doesn't know that that's my partner's in the elevator, right? And he goes, you know, Eric, and he knew I was one of the principal builders. And he's like, Eric, I got to tell you, man, every day I wake up in this building, I'm happy. The experience you created for me makes me want to live here. And I was like, that's why we're doing it, right? So I completely agree with you. How do you create this unique experience for your consumer besides just saying it's four walls, right?
Yeah. So first you want to create an experience and you want to get more money for your property.
Of course.
And it's not always like that because I felt when I moved to Tel Aviv and I live in like different buildings, I saw that people paying a lot and not getting enough value for that. Like even if some of the developers was like trying to create something unique, it still wasn't like equal to what you're paying. From my experience,
you walk into it and you're saying that some of them it's just super costly, but you're not getting this experience out of it. Yeah. That was what you had identified?
Yeah, in the beginning.
That was the germination?
Yeah. And I think it's also here in Manhattan. It's like you invest a lot of money in properties. Right. And also the renter is not always happy. And also the landlord not always happy. Right. Because they invest a lot of money and the income they're getting is not enough.
I mean, they're seeing it every day now, actually, with the higher interest rates with some of these developers and with the tenants. So the rents are going up, but they think that the landlord's making more, but he isn't necessarily making more because of the interest rates going up.
Yeah. So the first thing that I saw that I believe that the technology is supposed to be also experience. Before we solving problem with technology, it's supposed to be an experience. And most of the designers, they're looking only on the building and they're not thinking how it will be work with technology, how it will be feel the technology. They don't care. They're not there.
Not only that, the process here in New York when you're doing it is it's an afterthought, right? We are designing the building. It's architecture, right? About the facade. It's about the interior, the layout. No one is talking yet about what that infrastructure on technology should be. That is a forward thought. Even the process used to be we'd literally go to the AV guy, The guy who's like, I'm going to put speakers in and maybe some access control and say, hey, what's the technology you can provide? And they don't really know, right? It's not even their job to know. And that's who we're asking, right? You didn't ask the architect to help design your technology. So I completely understand the problem you're proposing.
Yeah, that's usually when you check the what you get in new apartments. So there is an intercom, there is an access control.
Right? Yeah, so you get an intercom.
Wow.
Yeah, no. By the way, I not understand. You know, there's only an intercom or maybe some blinds. You get like you hit the button, the blinds go up and down, right? But there's so much more available, no?
So much more. And I think it's when I look on the technology, the first what we call block, we split it into block. So the first block is experience. How you bring the same experience that you want to bring by the building, by the design, with the technology. How it's feel.
So you basically say, I understand technology. I'm going into these buildings and I understand why they're not getting the value that they should be, right?
Yeah.
And all you're seeing is the intercom. But what was the influence that you knew about all the other technologies available that weren't there? How did you even know about it?
I saw many of problems.
Right?
Yeah, a lot of problems. The things are not connected together. Many of systems that separate. You need to talk with someone if you need to do something. Like, you need a management company.
Right, so you're saying the workflow.
Yeah.
If your toilet went down, you're calling, right?
For everything. And when you're giving a service by people, it's complicated.
Right.
Because even if they are the best people, sometimes they will wake up in the morning and they are not in the best mode. And beside that, I'm saying, so we're building a lobby. We're building a swimming pool. But how many hours a day I will be in the lobby?
Right.
But when I'm sitting in my house or in some other places, if I will have a way to communicate with my building, I will be there more than the lobby.
Right.
So I think this experience is important. And it's also related to service management. So beside the interface and how you give me the way to connect to the building, how do I get more services? How do I get more value for what I'm paying? How do I feel like someone is like engaging me or giving me like saying, okay, you're living here, so you have power because you're living here. You have discounts. I will take care of you there. I will give you that. I will create something for you. People need to feel special.
And you were saying that's easily resolvable. You can create that, right? Instead of the phone call, instead of, going to the retail store and saying, hey, I build there, we want discounts. You identified all of these minor issues that would increase your experience living in this building.
Yeah.
So then how did you solve it?
So we create, we call it operating system for real estate. It's like a total solution that focus on user experience
But the occupant's experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And I believe in the few years, we will see a shift from building-centric point of view to user or tenant-centric point of view. Because the building built for the people who live there and not for the people who manage them.
Right.
Managing it's important. It's supposed to be efficiency. It's also related to what we're doing. But I think the main focus is the user, the tenants, the people.
So what did you create?
People.
What did you create to have this better user experience?
So we created a total solution with a unique interface for the tenant and for the management company. We start implementing...
So when you say solution, just for our audience, because they have no idea.
Yeah.
So what's the solution feel like? So now I'm a user. What does that mean? So now I sign a lease, or when do I start interfacing with your technology?
So in the beginning, we start with existing building.
Okay.
Today, we're also working with helping to develop new building and to think on the future and to plan out the roadmap and the technology. But in the beginning, it was a SaaS software for existing building, for property management.
So it's a SaaS platform, right? Yeah. And what did the users download this SaaS, and what did it do for them?
So if the management company are professional, they're saying, okay, everything is doing. You should do everything by there.
So mobile first.
Mobile first. We want to know. We want to saw the SLA. We want to see that you get good services. We want to give you ability to do things without communicate with us, and we want to give you. Usually the communication between the management and the tenant was by negative issues. If I have problem, if something is bugging me, I'm going to them.
Or when you sign the lease, right?
Or
Everyone's
when I
happy,
sign the
happy, sign a lease.
Yeah.
Then no
It's
more
all
communication except negative.
Always negative.
And then at the end, it's like, are you going to stay here? And then you don't communicate at all.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So the first issue is like to give the users, the tenants, the way that we can communicate by positive thing. I can give you things. I will create value for you. I will connect you to your building. I will connect you to your amenities. I will connect you to the system in the building. I will show you. I will let you show. I will let you understand. I will support you.
So empower them.
Empowering them. Exactly.
And you're saying that empowering becomes this greater user experience.
Yeah.
So what was the first sale like? You're going up to this owner and you're like, you got this beautiful building. Everyone hates you. Let me show you how I can make them like you.
Yeah. It wasn't really like that.
What was it like? Tell me.
The first sale was like we came into the first company that we want to work with them, and we showed them everything, and then they said, we don't want to give better service. We will get a lot of noise.
Yeah.
We don't want to noise.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear from them.
So there was resistance from the landowner.
Yeah.
The landlord is like, yeah, no, we don't want to talk to them more.
No. We
Yeah.
don't want to talk with them.
So how'd you overcome that issue?
So we went to other company that they competing with,
Yeah.
smaller than them, and we helped them to be better. And after the other company saw that the small company is like doing great job, they
So
call
you're
us
seeing a
and say,
higher revenue. How did you determine that the user was actually enjoying it and interfacing it with it? Like, how did they find out that that smaller company was now doing better? So now they download the app. They have this, either whether it's access control or communication with problems, and you're telling them about discounts in the area and how you use the amenities. So that's this platform that they're interfacing with. But how did anyone ever know that it was actually working?
So they saw people prefer the other buildings. And even this company, it was a condo building in the beginning. So this company took building from the other company because she worked better.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they started to, not only did the market start going to this building, how long did it take and how fast did it take?
It took like 5 months.
Wow. So how did the word get out so fast?
I just need to say something that
Please.
In Israel, we educate the market.
Mm-hmm.
Like, today, in some of the market and in the US market, it's easier because people understand the value. People is more focused and understand that something needs to be changed. And sometimes change, not with a great solution, but change. And in Israel, we educated the market. And it was much harder, but we did it.
So now, how big is MyTower? Where are you guys located?
So we're actually leading the Israeli market. We're operating in more than 300 towers, high-rise towers. We're working with, we built the smartest neighborhood in Tel Aviv, the largest neighborhood of Gindi TLV. We've been involved of planning the neighborhood, connect all the system from parking is connected. The intercom is in real time. The access control is by the
But you're not doing
main app.
the infrastructure technology. You're strictly saying it needs to now work with my mobile first. You're not doing the infrastructure as well. It's strictly, we want the app and we want everything to connect to it so that it works, right?
But one of the problems usually when you plan a building or a neighborhood, so you start planning it and you occupy it after 5 years, and all the system and everything you plan to put is sometimes not relevant. Like we found in this neighborhood that some of the system that's supposed to work, they are like not connected to the internet. They are closed system. The access control was closed. Every system was working by itself.
Which is a whole other issue in technology, is that we're all building it off of separate technologies, right?
Yeah.
And you're trying to bridge them together.
Yeah. So we said now we will help you like to change it. When we will change, you will change the contract that you want if you want. And we were lucky that the developer over there was like tech oriented, and he said, "I want to be first. I want to be different. I want to be unique. I will do whatever you're saying." His name was Manor Gindi.
So it's this massive developer. He knew that he should plan around this tech because you proved that the user experience was better.
Yeah.
So now you own the Israeli market. What's next?
So we in the Israeli market, we're working also in Europe, in Poland. We engage now with a few groups in the GCC.
What's that?
The Gulf countries.
Okay.
In Dubai, and also we have MOU with the royal family of Bahrain. And but the next goal is the States.
I mean, obviously, you know,
Yeah.
come on now.
Yeah.
Poland before us? You got to come here, man. We needed an NYC. But do you find that there's competition right now in that marketplace coming out of America?
In America, there is everything, and competition is good.
Yeah.
I like competition. I think it's make all the parties to be better, to think different, and there is competition. But I believe with our experience, we know how to bring the best product, and we have a vision for.
And you're established. How long has the company been around now?
5 years.
So what do you think? Because we have you here.
But
what
I
do
can tell you,
tell
sorry,
me.
I can tell you that our ARR is double than what we got in an investment, like more the fund that we put.
Right, which is huge today because everyone's like, oh, you raise all this capital, you're making money. You're like, no,
Yeah.
we're making money and we raised less
Yeah.
capital.
We're doing
right?
business. It's not just a vision.
Right,
It's not
right.
a dream.
This is 5 years in, right?
Yeah.
You're an established company. You're going to have the infrastructure. Boom. What I find fascinating, and I'd love to hear, where is it going? All right, so now, are you only multifamily, by the way? You're doing office, industrial, or is it only multifamily?
Condos and multifamily. And now we release in Israel also the product for the commercial, for offices.
So since you're on the front line, right, and you're saying that this technology also is giving you feedback and understanding, what did you find out that was the most fascinating about what users actually wanted and really worked with on this app? Like, is there something that you're like, you wouldn't know it, but multifamily tenants, the fact that they communicate makes them happy? What did you find out? Because you're the one getting all the data. So what did you find out about the users?
So first, we found that they want someone to engage them as the members.
Which is totally
Give them the
counterintuitive to what you said. You said the landlord's like, yeah, I don't want to talk to them more. But what you realized is if you do talk to them, they're actually a lot happier.
Yeah.
Right? That's like,
Sometimes if something bugging you, just the ability to talk with someone or even to send someone and get a response, even if not, it's not from a person, it's make you like, okay, someone is taking care of me.
right. Right, which is
Someone is
huge,
there.
right? Because people always used to say, like, you don't communicate, you don't tell me if you're fixing it, right? So sometimes you get pissed, right? Like, the toilet's not fixed. You go to work, it gets fixed, but you don't know that, right? They didn't even tell you that it got fixed, so you're still mad, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, yo, I fixed it. It's like, if you just told me, all of a sudden I'd be a lot happier about it, no?
Yeah.
So what else did you find?
And we saw that in some of our neighborhood that we walk in, when vendor is coming and the tenant is like getting services, people saying, okay, they are rich, they live in this nice building, or not, even in some other places. And the prices for the tenants was like, no one was taking care for them for special prices.
Right.
And we say, okay, we are in 300 towers, so we have power. We want to create marketplace for the tenants. We want to give them value. We want to give them discounts.
Mm-hmm.
We want to give them the ability to feel unique. And this is what we did. So now they have marketplace, all the services that they are using.
But what are they using? Let's start, like, I get it. You now have economies of scale, which is dope because that's just showing MyTower's power.
Yeah.
But what were some of the services that we wouldn't think were that important and are like, what are the main services? Like, what do people care about? The best discount should come from where? What are the services they like?
It's a bit different between the communities and who are the people and where they live.
So that's interesting. You're learning about the different demographics within specific buildings now want different things, which is data you could now give to a developer, right? Like, oh, you think your amenity should be X, Y, Z. So what did you find? Give me some examples.
So in some of the building, like there is a few buildings that we implement like a subscription to the internet with a huge discount, and we saw that all the tenants took it.
Why?
Because the discount was like
because
that they can't get in the market.
Right. So you give them a discount, but everyone wants the internet. So that doesn't matter if it's the building in this neighborhood or that neighborhood, right?
Yeah, but if someone taking care of you and bringing you value and a good price, you say, okay, it's better to live here. Someone taking care of me.
Right. They're giving you the hookup.
Yeah.
But what is some amenity? Give me an amenity that you never expected would be as popular, but is. Like, are they doing babysitting services? Like, what's the one that you were like, I can't believe that this has so much value?
For me, one of the surprises, it was two surprises. Something that I didn't believe but it's related to the Israeli market. It's a car wash. Like when people come in and cleaning your car in your parking, and you can wake up and the car is cleaning.
Better than having to drive your car to the car wash, get it done. How did it work? You're clicking in 12 o'clock slot, They literally go to your parking space?
Yeah. And you wake up in the morning and the car is clean.
Now, I don't know if that's just that market, because personally, I drop my car off at the garage and they clean it, and that's better than me having to go, right? Saving me time. I don't have to deal with it. So that was something that's huge, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think of that, which would mean if you think about the design of the building, you'd have to put in more area drains in the slab, in the cellar, or in the basement or first floor in order to prepare for that amount of water. You would have had to have known that from the design.
Yeah.
Right? So you'd be able to go to that developer now and say, yo, what we're learning about this space is you now need more area drains. No one would have decided that or understood that. So that's pretty fascinating. What else? What was the second surprise?
The second surprise was laundry. I was like thinking that people will prefer to make the laundry by themselves, but people using laundry service.
So they'd rather pay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when they have a good price, so they're trying to use it more.
Listen, I haven't done my, when I was a young boy, my mother made me do my own laundry. So I have like an aversion to ever doing my laundry. So I always pay. So I like it that I'd get a discount, but like I haven't done my laundry in forever. And now I know that my wife is going to listen to this and then tear me apart about it, that I never did my laundry. But that's cool. So people would rather pay if you can get them a good enough number not to do it, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
What else? What about, I'm seeing this company out there that basically they're renting appliances, like a printer if you need it for the day, or they're renting like a vacuum for the day. Are you seeing that too? Are you seeing random information that you're like, how can we solve for this?
I think it's nice. It's good experience, but from the business side, it's not sustainable.
Right.
You can't make money from few dollars
for that kind of thing. But what are you finding about the user experience? Are people like demanding that? Or you're like, no, that's not something that they're making a decision on? Like if you can do the dry clean, I mean, if you could do the car wash, you're actually getting tenants.
I think it's something that in the beginning you will say, oh, it's amazing, but then you will see that you're not using it. So
what is MyTower's game plan now? What does the next year for you look like? What's the goal?
So the goal is in this timing, like to help landlord get more profit from their assets that's not based on the rent.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe we can do it. We're doing it. We're giving value to the tenants. We can create value to the tenants and to generate more revenue from some marketplaces to the landlord.
So what's that model? So instead of it being a SaaS, so now you're like, all right, we'll bring these services. Are you rev sharing with the landlord?
Yeah, with the strategic one.
What's that?
With some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll say, look, we'll give them a discount, but the difference between our price and their price, you can get a piece of.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because now it goes to their NOI, and NOI is inversely proportionate to value. So you're making the building more valuable.
Yeah.
Right.
I believe in the next decade, you will see that landlords starting to understand that. And in the last few years, they all want to get more rent, with the renovation and how we spend money in order to get more rent and how we create better NOI. And you could do it. You could do it. People living in your place, paying to you rent, and you don't get nothing from all the economy they are spending outside. You get only the rent.
Correct. Right. And you're saying bring that economy into the building, right? Because you have a captivated audience now.
Exactly.
So what does it take to get MyTower in the building, though? How do you do it? What do you need? Is there infrastructure that has to be there? Like, how do you actually get MyTower to get to the tenants to start bringing this marketplace to them? What does it take?
So there is two ways. One is the simple one, is like the SaaS for the building, that they start to operate with this software on managing the building and connect the tenants. And the other,
right, but the tenant, so that's just straight to your vendors, right? So you have a SaaS platform, just download it. But is the management software on it? Are you paying your rent through it, or it's a robust?
Yeah.
It's not just, it's also paying your rent.
Yeah.
Transactions. How about signing leases? Is that on it?
You book your amenities. You're paying rent. You're doing everything.
Okay, but that's strictly
like a super app.
Right. Okay. Cool. So what's the second one then?
And the second one is new buildings.
Right.
And we're using the data and the knowledge we have until now to help to plan the next generation of the building.
Okay.
And we did it in a new neighborhood, and it's amazing.
So what were some of the things that you did? What was some of the planning that you think from traditional to now, because of what you knew, changed? Give me an example.
The community. many of developer all over the world saying we create a new community.
Right.
And it's just one feature that we're using that help the tenants to communicate by themselves, to create event to the community. If some lady is like doing something for cooking or something for kids, she can like create an event, order everyone. They're like coming,
which is amazing, right? Here's my question to you, and tell me if you think this is possible. Here's my theory. I'm going to start buying some assets and start developing some new projects. I'm going to social listen to see kind of like what my community wants. Could I also go to you and be like, what do you think that this community wants based on the data you have and the demographic profile of my tenant? I could come to you and be like, help me not only plan the tech, but plan the actual different spaces.
Yeah,
and you would be able to say, you need think about it as you need a gym. And then I'm like, hey, maybe I need a yoga studio. Like, nope, actually your demographic isn't that into yoga. It'd be a waste of space. Am I actually going to be able to go to you to get information to plan my building?
Yeah, if we will work together in the future, yeah.
Well, that's why we got to bring you to New York,
Yeah.
You got to come to the number one spot in the universe, no?
Yeah.
As my New York patriot. Well, that's cool. So what do you see right now as like your biggest friction? What's the thing that holds you back the most in the business? Looks like I stumped you. This is like my first, What is your biggest friction point? Is it the people like planning it, the engineers? What is it? Is it marketing? What is it? What's the biggest problem you have right now?
I don't have any problems.
So what's the slowest? What's the slowest? Getting new consumers?
So the slowest...
Educating the marketplace? There's something. There's always a problem.
Yeah, there is.
Obviously, it's an opportunity, but...
I always say that when you talk about real estate, it's a huge market.
Right.
So if you have some groups that they are going slower or some groups that they are adapting like it a bit later, you have groups that not. So you always can find the people that understand the needs of what you're doing.
Well, that's something. If I'm not mistaken, how hard is it for you to explain? Now, certain of your developers that you already know are into tech, but out of 10 conversations, how many don't get what you're doing or why it's important?
It really depends where you're talking about.
Right?
Like, what is the region?
Let's say America, New York.
In New York, it's easy.
Yeah? They understand?
Yeah, they understand.
Where are they not understanding?
If they have something and it's working, sometimes they say, okay, it's working. I don't need to do it better. I don't need to do it in the best way. I have something that is working. I'm okay with that. I don't have time.
By the way, that's what I see. By the way, to me, the fact that you're saying so many people understand is shocking because I find that everyone is a laggard. They wait till they have to. They're already getting paid. They're already making money. They already own the asset. They're not trying to be innovative because they don't want to upset the cart. They don't want to upset the apple cart. They're like, yo, no way. Let's keep it the same way.
Yeah.
That's what I find.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons we're even on this is like, yo, tech is changing. I'm agreeing with you on your thesis. Like, how could you not be finding someone like yourself to develop your asset?
And I also think that it's we need always to remember when we're talking about the states, there is New York and there is the state. It's like totally different.
Yeah.
And it's also related to the competition that you have as a developer, as a landlord.
Right. How do you differentiate yourself right now? How are you going to make it a different experience, right? You're offering that different experience, right?
Yeah. I can have property in some place and someone will create something new near me with renovated and everything, and I want to be unique. I need to be different. I don't want my tenant to live there. One of the problems is tenants that renters leaving properties after 1 year.
I agree.
1 year, it's like...
And if I could keep them even a day, a week, a month more, it's more valuable to my building. Like, I get it. I'm agreeing with you. So let me ask you, we always like to ask our guests on the show. So besides all the business that you do, what do you do to maintain like your equilibrium? If all you're doing is working, what do you like to do on the side? What keeps you busy beyond business?
Okay, I will split it to two because I like what I'm doing. So I'm enjoying, not everything is work in the work.
Yeah.
I have a rule that every week I need to meet 7 interesting people and to learn something from them.
Okay, cool.
And you meet interesting people, so it's not just work.
Mm-hmm.
You're enjoying that. But from the other side, I say that from the balanced way, when I wake up in the morning, I'm not opening my phone in the first 2 hours. When I'm in Tel Aviv, I'm going to the beach, running.
So fitness.
Fitness. I like to read.
What are you reading?
I'm reading everything.
That
Reading,
means you ain't
everything.
reading shit, dude. Now, what's the latest book you're reading?
The latest one was the Quran.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And did you find anything good on it?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So it's funny. I was watching this documentary recently, and they said for mental health, okay, the number one thing you need to do is fitness, sleeping, and eating right. Right? So you're doing it right because that's the best part of the equilibrium. And now
Eating.
what's that?
Eating. Yeah.
I know, eating right.
I love eating.
Yeah. So now before we go, I just would like you to know you are by far the best dressed guest we've ever had on this show. So you get a big round of applause, you know?
Thank you.
Usually technology
My pleasure.
comes, they're wearing sweatshirts, you know, or at least something branded, but at least you came correct, you know? By the way, you don't have to dress like that to be on the show. I'm just saying you should get credit for being the best dressed. So Pini, listen, I know you changed your flight to be here. I want to tell you, I thank you so much for coming on the show and taking the time. And, you know, thank you so much for coming. And again, shout out, where are they going to find you? MyTower app, right?
Yeah.
.com?
.com.
And what about Insta and Linked and all the rest of it? How do they find you?
MyTower.
MyTower. And now we got to look out for it in NYC. We got to bring you here, right?
Yeah.
Take over the universe
Next
here.
goal.
What's that?
Next goal.
Next goal. All right. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank
man.
you.
Appreciate
Always
you.
fun with you.
Of course. You guys heard it. You saw it. You knew it. You knew it was changing the game. The bottom line is as follows. If you're not going to implement some type of mobile-first technology into your multifamily space, you are going to get left behind. I need you not to implement it so that I leave you behind. So when you ask me, is this a technology that's changing the game? Facts, people. Hashtag facts. It is. Who will win that game is what we never seem to know. He's taken over the Middle East market. He's trying to penetrate into the New York market. Is it going to be possible? Are there competitors doing it better? We will see. But basically, if he has the architecture where the interface makes sense, where it's user-friendly, then I think my man takes over the American market as well, coming through in NYC is the beachfront. So for me, I'm definitely down with MyTower. You've got to go check it out. You got to see the application, and then we'll check to see if we think it's the user interface and the architecture that works. But the fact of the matter is, in my multifamily projects, I am bringing a mobile-first app infrastructure that is going to change my user experience. I am going to have my tenants stay longer. I'm going to get a higher NOI, and you're all going to be coming knocking my door as to what I did. And what I did was meet this man right here. So boom, shakalaka, MyTower, get it while it's hot.